Good evening, everybody. Just kind of watching some of the clips of Notre Dame being burnt. Bad. Bad because of the structure itself, but just think of all the priceless pieces of art and that sort of thing that is gone forever. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that timber being that old just act like kindling. So, okay, let's take a look at the markets here. Today was just kind of a nothing day, but it didn't do anything to tell us there's any change of investor sentiment. So if you look at all the overall trend, when the Dow broke out, through that level, with a doji gap up, at least now we're looking at the prospects of a slow uptrending channel that would be like a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. So on days like this, if you kind of anticipate that they aren't selling the market off, but there's no buying today, it's just one of those days where you just have to kind of sit around and not do anything because it's not a good market day. So same thing with the NASDAQ, but at least we had the prospect of the NASDAQ coming back to the T-line and acting as support. So that piece of evidence right there is still providing bullish sentiment. But we now have at least a platform. Well, it's not. It could be a hanging man. So at least that's what I was saying is we have a platform or a prospect or at least an analytical results that we don't want to see it close back below the T-line. Even selling tomorrow would kind of say, all right, it's still getting weak. It's time to take some profits. So you have to kind of look at it on the basis of you've got this type of signal in the NASDAQ. Still in an uptrend with a possible hangman in the S&P. And same scenario here, but you also have to look at the analysis that we don't have anything yet that's telling us that we are in a reversal. We've got the capabilities, but we've had the capabilities of that type of thing happening quite a bit. So right now, you just have to assume that as long as we're above the T-line without a confirmed sell signal, that we're still in an uptrend. So unfortunately, that makes today's analysis kind of dismal because there's not a whole lot to look at. Crude oil closed right on the T-line, still not showing a confirmed reversal. Gold not doing too much of anything, just kind of waffling in here. Trying to find even anything in the futures area that would show any. That's soybeans going absolutely nowhere. And even lean hogs, which has been very tradable, is now getting very iffy. The only thing I'm looking at on the future side right now is live cattle. Live cattle, see stochastic coming up, big, huge, bullish engulfing. Then your consolidation back to the 50. Then your left-right combo and your doji. This has the prospects. If it starts trading higher tomorrow, you want to be buying cattle. All right, so that's just kind of finding anything that looks good. Now, fun. Let's make this a bit bigger. Fun has the cradle pattern. And it stayed up above the T-line, traded positive. I'd still be a buyer of this one on positive trading. Even on the basis right now that if they come back up into this territory, you've got basically a 50% upside potential. That's what makes that very tradable. Let's see what else. SMAR, we were recommending this one because of doji hammer gap up through this downtrending channel. Another situation where if it opens positive, you want to be buying immediately on the best friend followed by a doji sandwich. That's the reason we were looking at Wes. Notice, even though it had a sluggish day, at the end of the day, it was trading back up toward the top end of the trading range. Yeah, making this best friend gap up very viable. That's what made J-Bill recommendation very viable. Best friend signal. So here's something to put into your mental arsenal. You see a best friend, then the next day it trades indecisively, profit taking. And if they open up positive here, this is all kicking into place. That makes something like Wes a high probability trade setup if it opens positive tomorrow, and even makes SMAR also very viable on positive trading. Because this is the reaction, this is the expectation, especially with the gap up through the T-line, which also tells you that downtrending resistance isn't going to act as resistance anymore. So the reason I point out these individual type setups is so that everybody can kind of figure out what would be a good setup to learn and what should it to expect. So it doesn't take very long to learn a setup, meaning like a gap up through the T-line. CPTH was up dramatically today. If it opens positive, more than likely you've got a very strong price move. All right, some of the other ones. ARQL. See the fry pan bottom, you can see the cradle pattern, you can see the doji sandwich, and you can see that they held up very well right here at the T-line. Still a viable buy in the sense that if it starts trading above or trading positive from here, your next wave is in progress. Boot, you can see the obvious J-hook pattern. Olin, you can see the bobble breakout. And what was some added okay, thank you, Ray. So that's, again, when they did, that shows, go back to this one. So that gives the prospect of the overhead of the selling. Now, this is just too much analysis. Basically, they like the idea now if they continue to buy, it's because that overhead of new shares is not in the way. So does that make a stock price go up or down? Don't know. But if that's the factor, the reason we look at candlestick signals is to see what the reaction is to that type of announcement. We know that a Bobble breakout is very high probability trade setup. We also know when they consolidate right back to a support level, like the 3T line in the 200, that's additional confirmation. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on positive trading tomorrow with the expectation of your next wave like this. Same scenario on WLK. The opposite of a Bobble breakout, more of a J-hook pattern that's showing you that the T-line is acting as support. We are still keeping an eye on big, because even though they did a bearish engulfing signal, today they kind of negated that. I'd be a buyer still of this one on positive trading tomorrow, because it tells you exactly what happened, that they weren't going to close below the 200 or the T-line. SE, look for a double doji setup. Let's make this. Announced. Opens positive after your bullish Harami close above the T-line, breaking this downward trend channel. Some good upside. GH, inverted hammer, gap up. Today they came down, tested the T-line. Definitely need to see this open positive and trade positive to keep this trajectory in progress. Now, the likelihood of that trajectory is still great, or still pretty good. Castics are heading up. Your inverted hammer, gravestone doji, gap up, is all indications that the bulls are in control and will stay in control as long as it doesn't close below the T-line. MDLZ. There's your slow curve, and notice what it did today. There's your best friend little gap up, and where did it do it? Right there. Wave 1, wave 2, look for wave 3. So I'm showing these because even if the market was very lethargic today, there's still lots of good trades. This is why I like to trade the slow curve breakout, and stay long until you see a sell signal. Gold, we're still holding this one, because it essentially broke through this level, and notice what it did today. Came back and used the T-line as support. You can still buy this one on positive trading. Now, others, like Form, that have been working well. Notice we don't have a clear sell signal here. However, we do have the most reliable trend indicator, our doji rule. If it opens lower tomorrow, you close it out. Where do you think it's heading to? Back here with probably at least a doji sandwich. If it opens positive, you stay long. But then where do you set your sell stop? Right here, because logic says if it opens positive, trades up, and comes back down through there, the sellers have taken control with these selling indications up here. So there are stocks that just looking at them tells you, well, it's not acting very strong. Rarex had a Morningstar signal, but look where it closed Friday. Closed back below the T-line. What did that tell us about the strength here? Well, there's two very obvious analytical factors. One, it closed below the T-line. And two, look at the trajectory. Not telling us there's anything there. You should be out of this trade. That doesn't keep you from buying it back if we see the next buy signal. But right now, we're not seeing any confirmed buying. So why stay in something that you know is not working very well, based upon This is the visual analysis. Same scenario on SPUN. Another one. When it closed below the T-line, telling you the sellers are taking control. And what else was it telling you? This area right here seems to be a troublesome area. This isn't a very good chart. When it closed below the T-line, you'd had two elements. Closing below the T-line and your trajectory, telling you the sellers were taking control again. So SGEN did kind of a spinning top doji just below the T-line, smaller. So we give it one more day. And why is that? Because we know what type of pattern this was coming out of. Here's kind of your wedge breakout. So what should we expect from a wedge breakout? A strong price move like this. So basically makes this a very simple analysis. It needs to open positive and trade positive tomorrow to stay in it. So the best thing we've got using the patterns, the signals, and the T-line is we can make very logical, intelligent decision making process based upon what we know should happen after a candlestick signal. Alaska Air. There's your little left-right combo. What is our expectation? Like at least to test the 50 to see if it's going to hold. So what would you not want to see if you were long and stayed long? Wouldn't want to see it close back below the 50 and the T-line. That would tell you this area is now acting as a resistance level. AVID. There was your bearish left-right combo, bearish engulfing in the overbought area, stochastic setting lower. What did we need to see today to stay in this one? It needed to open positive and trade positive. Should have closed it out today. That told you the sellers are starting to take control. Okay, so the biggies like Nugget, kind of telling us the gold stocks are just kind of drifting. Labu came back up slightly. There's at least the obvious that we can see, which is kind of this support level. So we need to see this open positive. If it opens lower tomorrow, that means we've seen a double top, and now we're trying to break this level. That means the biotechs are probably acting weak at this point. Out of the biggies, Facebook is still acting well ever since it broke through this level. And notice what it did today. And I say notice, this is one thing that you always should kind of recognize. If your trend pulls back and uses the T-line as support and bounces back up, remember, that means it's hit that natural support and resistance level, or the support level. That's further indication that the bears are not able to sell it off. Now, today I had somebody in the chat room say, all right, is this a hanging man? And the answer was, we don't know yet. What did it do? It closed back up above the T-line. The other question is, or the other oracle question is, did this close at the top? Not really. It's kind of in a sideways mode. So this is really is just kind of a potential sell signal, but not with all the qualifications. That it's not like up here like this. It's still in this upward trend. So what do we still make our most important analysis? If this is a sell signal, we shouldn't see it trade lower tomorrow. We want to see it open and trade higher. Again, based upon the very simple doji rule. Apple stayed above the T-line, but it also needs to open positive tomorrow. Now I was showing Netflix today, which was acting awfully weak after this bearish kicker signal. And I guess the response from somebody was, well, that's because Disney was saying they're going into the streaming movie business, I guess. So that's why it's selling off, or that's the excuse for it selling off. But that's kind of, I want to say, that's kind of a analysis of the analysis. It doesn't matter what is making it sell off. What we can see is whatever it is making it sell off. We'll look at it right now, but let's hold off on the individual ones. That's not so much a kicker signal as it is. Remember, a kicker signal still wants kind of a big candle, but it's still a positive. You can see where it's trading positive with that little bullish confirmation of the 200. Asking because I know kicker signal isn't kind of an over, so yeah, but it's not quite a kicker signal. I would call it more of a indecisive doji hammer type day. A kicker signal, you definitely want a big candle and then a big candle. All right, let's see what else we got. Oh, NVIDIA. So this is why you want to calculate or analyze your signals. There's a left-right combo. You could see for 3 days it was having a hard time getting through that level. So if you were long NVIDIA, what did it need to do today? It needed to open and trade positive, staying above the T-line. Once it started trading below the T-line, we closed it out because what was our probabilities in the overbought area, hitting a resistance, doing a left-right combo, and then trading lower? The probabilities are pretty strong. They're trading it lower. So this is the type of recognition to get you prepared to get out of trades a lot faster or in trades a lot faster, knowing what should happen after a reversal signal. CVS, somebody was pointing out or looking at in the chat room today, it's viable because of the doji gap up, your best friend. Now all you have to do is see whether they start trading it positive from here, making this your next viable target, which would probably kind of coincide that over the next few days it's heading for the 50. Now that's not a very hefty return, but the probabilities of it going in this direction make it very highly probable that it's heading up to that level, which means you might not want to buy a $54 stock for it to go to $57.80, but you might want to buy a 55 call and sell a 57.50 call spread, knowing that's your upside target. That becomes a much more mathematically probable trade setup. Costco. This is why you want to recognize your signals. There's your little Morningstar signal, kind of a mini scoop pattern. But what did it tell us? It told us that there was a buy signal coming back up above the T-line and probably continuing your 45 degree. INFN. Here's your big belt hold, bullish engulfing, breakout of the 50, bullish confirmation. You're in an uptrend. Even though you're up toward the overbought area, expect more upside. And there was another one, ADVM, that did your big bullish belt hold. Also can be bought on positive trading tomorrow because of this signal. Because what else would it be telling you? Breaking this little downward trend channel, wave 1, wave 2, And remember, the bigger the signal, the more compelling the next trend will be. Now, the fact also that they close it above the T-line with a big belt hold, this now gives you that much more indication that there's been a change of investor sentiment. AXSM. Now, this is the makeup of a bullish flutter kicker signal. Notice you had an open here, closed here. They gapped it up above the previous day's open and did an indecisive trading day, in this case, a spinning top. And remember, a spinning top and a doji kind of illustrate the same thing, but there's indecision between the bulls and the bears. Spinning top just has a little bit wider body makeup, which also indicates that if it opens positive, you've got a bullish flutter kicker bouncing off this level. You've got much greater probability you're going to see some more upside, because bullish flutter kicker, like the kicker, is one of your strongest signals. Here's a fry pan bottom breakout on lumber liquidators. Notice your fry pan bottom, T-line crunch, kind of a little doji sandwich. Let's make this bigger. That's implying there's going to be a lot more upside also. I was going to look at a bunch of oil stocks. There's another bullish doji sandwich on Chaparral Energy. This one you can be buying on positive trading tomorrow because of the doji sandwich coming up through the 50. You can see Whiting is in kind of a fry pan bottom right at this level. Now, you have a hanging man up here, and it did trade lower, but indecisively lower. So if you were long this stock, if it opens lower tomorrow, you close out the position. If it opens positive, what's it telling you about the fry pan bottom? It tells you they're trying to break it out to the upside. So the fry pan bottom, anytime you can visually see where it's breaking out, just gives you that much more probability of a big price move. Fix. Yeti. See the little slow curve? I'd be watching to see if it came up through this level. Zayo. Down here, fry pan bottom, breakout. What do you do with this one? You just stay long until you see a sell signal in the close below the T-line. EGNA. See where this one broke out. When I say broke out, what do you want to see at the breakout level? You want to see something very bullish, whether it gaps up or a big, strong move through that level. That tells you the enthusiasm. Harold, I think we looked at the Dow. I'll look at it again when we get to the end here. All right, so these are the type you want to, oh, man, GTT has a nice steady edit. Now, why wouldn't that come up? TVTY. This is the type of thing you like to get stuck in. See that wave, and now you have your bullish, little bullish engulfing, gap up through the T-line. How long do you hold on to this one? As long as you don't see a sell signal and a close below the T-line, and it looks like they're trying to do a little J-hook pattern. But these are the type that make investing very easy. Once you see the reversal signal, use the T-line just to tell you the uptrend remains in progress. Same scenario. When you break out of a fry pan bottom, all you have to do is stay long now. So What do we know about a fry pan bottom? Because it goes into a classic pattern. Fry pan bottom, strong price move. Consolidation, what's the prerequisite for a J-hook pattern? A strong price move. Little left-right combo right off the T-line. What's that tell us about our next potential? Well, if this is from 75 to 85, 10 points, this should take you up into the 95 area. Oh, you go. Yeah. So there's nothing here on the Dow that's telling you which way it's going. All we know is that we're in an uptrend as long as we're staying above the T-line. What it's doing tomorrow, have no idea. So when you're in a situation where you don't know which way the market's going, that means you want to have both. Right now you're in an uptrend as long as you're above the T-line. So the game plan should be that you have predominantly mostly long positions, but you may want to have a couple short positions in the portfolio. CS looks like a little scoop pattern, and what reversed it? Kind of a cradle pattern, doji, 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 doji. Now you have a doji sandwich. What's the expectation from this level? If we break out through here, I got a slingshot effect to the upside. And Shopify. There's kind of your little scoop pattern slingshot effect. Stay long on this one. Car auction, there's your J-hook pattern. If it breaks out through essentially the 200, look for that type of move taking up into this range. Again, this is so that you have visual recognition of what type of pattern is setting up. And notice what the uptrend started with. Doji, 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 best friend gap up, telling you your next wave is in progress. So just that visual element allows you to be much more accurate as far as your timing to get into a position. Lulu. It opens positive coming out of this little slow curve. Could have another breakout to the upside. So with the markets trading relatively indecisively, but nothing yet to tell us there's any major reversal, just as a safety factor, you'd like to have positions like this, where once you saw the sell signals and a close below the T-line, you can hold on to a. Notice the market's been going up for the last few weeks. Get into a position like this, you don't have any qualms. You just kind of stay short until you see a buy signal. So in something like NKTR, what's the ease of analysis on this? Well, there's your left-right combo. There's your bearish confirmation. Where do you think your next price move should be? Right down here at the bottom of this trend channel, giving you at least a pretty hefty downside potential. Spotify, same scenario. That's a kicker signal. Opens here, closes here. That's a good hefty candle. Then they gap it down and go this direction. Where do you think your next likely target is? By the bottom of this trend channel. Clovis, this is the type of thing you can look for very easily. When you see a sell signal close below the T-line, a failure, again, you're adding everything you can visually recognize as being a reason to start shorting. And then you got kind of a dumpling top or a bearish J-hook, gap down through the resistance level, wherever you want to put that resistance level. I would suspect wave 1, wave 3 is going to bring you down here. Big sell signal after a failure of the at the 200. Right, can come back down into this range. Remember, the bigger the signal, the more compelling there's been a change of investor sentiment. Oh, pshaw. Might be wrong. Bearish belt hold. Where? Obviously right at the 200, close below the T-line. That was a good short. Now, if you were short, now what do you watch? You want to make sure that they don't support here at this level. If they get through, look for the next support level, which would probably be right here, this trend, which would also coincide with this level. Again, anything that we can visually see that would be a area that everybody's watching to see if it's going. If we know we're in a sell signal going in that direction, we have that much greater analysis techniques to say, yeah, the probabilities are in our favor. So here's ACRS failing. If this opened lower, probably heading much lower also. If you can see a sector, Crone, when it failed up here, it's still in a downtrend until you see a buy signal. Now, the only warning would be at this point, TLRY, the warning would be how far away you're starting to move from the T-line in the oversold area. If I was short this one, where's my logical spot to put a sell or a buy stop to cover my position? Right there. There's enough strength to bring it back up through that level, that far away from the T-line in the oversold area. That means that's where the buyers have stepped in. Overstock. Wave 1, wave 2. Look for wave 3 down here. Bed Bath & Beyond. A lot of people say, oh, what should we be looking at here? What should we do? Well, first of all, we know they gapped it down and tried to bring it back up. This is why you always hear me say, watch to see what they do at the T-line. Yep. What did they do at the T-line? A doji. And what do we know about the doji? The simple doji rule told us, oops, they weren't going up. Close out the position if you were long. They weren't taking it up anymore. Now there's a good prospect. They could be bringing it down even further. And one more, Sohu. Also a wave 1. Dumpling top. Reach of the last support level. Look for wave 3 to the downside. So again, lots of good trade setups out there right now. These are the type I'm going after. Anything that we see gapping up, best friend type signal, because I'm looking for the same results as what your best friend signal can produce for you. The big price move. I guess that is about all I've got for tonight. So are there any general questions on candlesticks? Oh, I'm supposed to remind everybody, keep the weekend of April 27th, 28th open. That's when we're going to be doing the Triple T analysis, which will be 2 days of analyzing or investigating how price moves work most effectively when you look at the candlestick signals and you apply the T-line to the analysis. When you kind of hone in on that, your analysis now becomes much more clear and much more effective, knowing how to combine those two indicators. Our downgrades, buy signals for institutions, No, downgrade is where some analyst has come out and said it's time to sell, or we're downgrading the stock because we think the stock is now downgraded to where it could go back to 185. Now, what that does is temporarily, all the people that are following that analyst will start selling. But once that selling is gone, you have to watch to see if the overall trend is still in progress. Could you show a best friend candle? Yes. That's this right here. A doji followed by a gap up. That's your best friend. Remember what a doji represents, indecision between the bulls and the bears. When they gap it up, what they tell you about the indecision? Not only have they told you which way they're making their decision, but it's usually going to be a very strong decision in that direction. If Apple opens positive tomorrow, you could buy it on the basis that the uptrend is still in progress, yes. And if you buy it, this is why you want to use the T-line as one of your indicators or one of your parameters. If this started trading positive tomorrow, I'd have a safety stop at just below the T-line because logic says if it comes back down through there, the bulls aren't in control. Now hold off on your individual ones. Are there any more general questions on candlesticks? If not, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. And in 4.2 seconds, do the other double line. AMC, yes, that's a good little, a bobble breakout. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on positive trading tomorrow. That's how it is. Okay. Whoops. Team, nothing exciting here. You don't really have any direction. You're above the T-line. I wouldn't be a buyer of this one. And if I owned it, it better open positive tomorrow. Otherwise, you don't really have anything to hang your hat on this one. PMG, same scenario here. You didn't have a sell signal right here. That was just a down day in an uptrend. But now you've got an evening star signal after a non-sell signal. If this opens lower tomorrow, you definitely want to be out of it. Tractor Supply, just stay long. You're in the overbought area. Put your safety stop just below today's low. Fry pan bottom, bullish flutter kicker. I'd be a buyer on positive trading coming up through the 50. Again, on the basis that you got to have a kind of a fry pan bottom, a double bottom, bullish flutter kicker. Remember, a bullish flutter kicker is the same as a kicker signal, except for the fact it's got a little flutter in between. EXC, you can be buying this one. Another one that did a little bullish confirmation of a doji hammer back up above the T-line. Johnson, you can buy this one with the anticipation that if this is your trend, this move will move very quickly back up into that trend. HBI, stay long, use the T-line as your stop. ARQL, wouldn't be afraid to be a buyer of this one. You got a fry pan bottom, If it breaks out through this level, expect to move like this, which means that could take you up into about the 750 area. Boeing is kind of waffling around. Right now, you probably don't want to be long or short Boeing because it probably moves too much on news from day to day, and there's really no direction to it. BABA, you probably can go short. Look where this started selling off, right at the same level it topped out before. If you were long, definitely should be out of it today, probably right here, definitely here. Right now, I don't know whether I'd go short, whether it just, you're going to short it, got a very quick move to get down to the 50-day moving average. Derm, you can, if I wouldn't go short here. You know, you can go short if it opens lower, but then you immediately put your stop right up here, I guess, for today's close. But you can see where the evening star signal had a shooting star doji bearish confirmation. More than likely down here, especially if they trade lower, you're back into the gap area, which means there's not any support there. FTNT, when it broke out, you just stay long. Look at your bullish doji sandwich. If you're in the overbought area, just keep your safety stop at today's open. On TLRY, right now there's nothing telling you there's any change. However, what are the things that tell you to start being a little bit more diligent as far as watching for a reversal? Notice how far away you've started to move from the T-line in the oversold area. If I was short, I'd stay short, but I'd have my safety stop right here at today's open. If it comes up through there, that tells you this is the bottom area. Travelers, see, they had a bearish engulfing. I wouldn't be long, and I probably wouldn't be short this one right now. Wouldn't be either. Now, NVIDIA, you can get ready to go short because of the left-right combo. And if it trades lower, it's got more downside. Where? Don't know. Maybe the back to the 50. Nike, I guess with Tiger winning, they might be back in the saddle again with their golf clubs. You got the little slow curve. You can still buy this one on positive trading. You just want to watch to see what happens once it gets to that level. Vidu, stay short. Bearish engulfing signal gap down, and you can see they didn't support at the 50. I'd watch to see what they do at this. This potential support area. Macy's. Wouldn't be long or short. There's nothing on that chart to get excited about. Schlumberger. Oh, you can stay long on this one. You can see it's got kind of a fry pan bottomish type pattern. You're right there at the breakout level. I'd have a safety stop right now just below the T-line. We did Netflix. Netflix came back up toward the top end of the range today. But if it opens lower tomorrow after that kind of a gap down best friend, I'd still suspect they could be bringing this down to the 200-day moving average. Micron, nothing. Wouldn't be long or short. There's absolutely no direction on this one right now. Fox, bearish engulfing, but they use the T-line. Whoops, they didn't even get to the T-line. You stay long, but if they start trading this lower, you might take some profits. Definitely don't want to see it trade back below the T-line. Cypress, you ready to buy this one on a J-hook pattern confirmation on positive trading tomorrow? YPF. Also, you can buy this on a bobble breakout. Notice how they use the 50 and the T-line as support. This opens positive, wave 1, wave 3, bringing you back up into this range. SRCI, just stay long, use the T-line as your stop. DS. This one, if you're long, has to open positive tomorrow. If it opens lower, trades lower, back below the T-line, back below the halfway point of this candle, tells you there's nothing there. Roku, just stay short. And anytime you see those gap downs, I still suspect they're heading for the 200-day moving average. ADS short, yes, that's a bearish kicker signal. That had a substantial green candle, gap down, and substantial red candle. Yes, you short that on weakness. GH still staying long as it stays above the T-line. Best Buy should be out of this one. You can go short if it trades on weakness with the idea they could bringing it back to the 200. It wouldn't be the best short in the world, but it would be headed in the right direction. AMRS, that's a choppy one, but got kind of your meeting line. Meeting lines when they open here and close here, open here and close right about the same level as where they closed it. You can be buying this one on strength. That's a reversal signal. Is this a bullish belt hold? Kind of a belt hold, but more of a meeting line, yes. But also a belt hold. Square, nothing. You're in a wedge. I wouldn't be long or short. Costco, again, the Morningstar signal. You can stay long on this as long as it stays above the T-line. DNA needs to stay above the T-line. The Qs still up above the T-line. Again, hammer, doji type signals. You stay with it as long as they don't close this back below the T-line. Alpha, big gap down. You get ready to short this one on weakness. ARA didn't get started again, but notice that it has pulled back very indecisively. If this trades positive, and especially comes up through today's high, you want to be a buyer because it's still coming off this cradle pattern. CMC, right now, if it opens lower, you can short it. See the obvious that it's in a downtrend, so it could come back to the bottom of this trend channel. PE, gap up. That's a kicker type signal. I say type because that's not a real big red candle. But the fact that they gapped it up, I'd still be a buyer of this one on positive trading with the anticipation they're heading for the 200-day moving average. Water, belt hold. That was the other one that I was trying to find. What was the one? Now I can't remember which one I was looking at earlier. Well. But there's your belt hold. If this starts trading positive, you can start buying this one. Across. Yes, a belt hold. So I'd be a buyer, but I'd probably want to see it just get above this level here. Netflix has earnings tomorrow. Thank you, Stella. We do WTI. Nothing there yet. Shouldn't be long. If you're short, don't let it close above the T line. Oh, was it ADVM? All right. Yes. So that one is a good one on positive trading. And they wiped out a lot of sellers right here. All right, nothing today. It's just telling us they aren't selling, just weren't buying today. So it's kind of a boring day. All right, everybody, have a good evening. We will see you bright and early in the chat rooms tomorrow. We'll see you then.